Today's motivation technique is one in our series about how to avoid motivation mistakes. And one of the most common is when you feel very strongly about something and you let your emotions get away from you when you're trying to persuade or influence others. I call it emotional overdrive. Now, the technique to avoid it comes from an article on our website titled Fixing Motivation Mistakes, Emotional Overdrive, and it also features a great video. The video is spectacularly popular on YouTube. It shows Phil Davison from Minerva, Ohio, giving an actual party nomination speech for the local office of county treasurer. And with panting breaths and his eyes bulging, his voice cracking, he hollers his way through what surely has become the most viewed address of its kind in history. Now, his impassioned speech exploded into a media sensation. And people might be entertained at the delivery, but it also raises a very important motivation question. When you do feel very strongly about something and you're trying to persuade or motivate or otherwise inspire your team or your people or your audience, how much passion should you show? If you show too little, you lose impact and you fail to inspire. Too much, you disconnect from your people who can't relate to your emotional overdose. Now, throughout most of Davison's speech, he is definitely on the too much side of the spectrum. Early on, he asserts, "I will not apologize for my tone tonight." In fact, he more than asserts it, he yells it, and he goes on to continue yelling. He gives us lots and lots of tone after that. Now, he failed, as it turns out, to earn his party's nomination, and perhaps it was due to the motivation mistake of emotional overdrive. What should we do instead? Now, the answer is to create emotional contagion. And to understand how to do that, think of 3 zones along a range of demonstrated emotion from low to high. Zone number 1, that's emotional underdrive, not enough feeling. The tagline here is, "Where's the feeling?" Here, you're showing too little emotion to connect others to the passion that you feel for the cause, the issue, the initiative, the principle, or whatever it is that you're focusing on. Your people can't relate and they can't buy in because they don't see it in you. Now, this makes me think of a movie called The Cooler, in which casino managers in Las Vegas, they use the world's most boring guy, played masterfully by William Macy, to go sit at the table where someone is on a gambling hot streak. Macy is so bereft of emotion and his character is so boring that his mere presence actually drains the liveliness and the luck out of others around him. That brings us to zone number 2. Emotional contagion. This is where you want to be. The tagline here is, "I feel that too." Now, in this zone, you're showing enough passion in order to enroll people in the emotion that you're trying to generate, and you give it a chance to take hold inside of them. In zone number 2, your people can understand, they can relate, they can see themselves in the emotion that you're expressing. You're helping them feel it too, and triggering the contagious quality that emotions have when they are well demonstrated. Now, sometimes it's helpful to build more toward that demonstrative emotional state and enable people to enroll themselves in that emotional progression. For a terrific example of this, see Martin Luther King Jr.'s 1963 "I Have a Dream" speech, which he gave at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. You search for that online and you'll see an absolutely stunning and, of course, a wonderful historic example of emotional contagion. And that brings us to zone number 3, when we've gone too far. Emotional overdrive. The tagline here is, "I don't feel that." Now, in this zone, your demonstrated emotion is so disproportionate to your audience's perception that you don't cause emotional contagion. In fact, you trigger other counter emotions, ones that run against your intention, such as scorn or ridicule or pity. So therefore, in both zones number 1 and number 3, you disconnect emotionally from your team or your group or your audience. But in zone number 2, you connect your emotional state to theirs, and you create emotional resonance in their inner feeling state. And that enables them to join in and feel it too, and show it too as well. So let's put this into action. Here's the action tool. When you feel very strongly about something, and you're trying to get it across and motivate, inspire your team, get into zone number 2. Get over the zone number 1 threshold from emotional underdrive, that emotional deprivation, and get into zone number 2, emotional contagion, but stop short of triggering that disconnected set of counter emotions that come in zone number 3. Now you can track and adjust whether you're in zone number 2 by reading the reactions from your team or your audience. Keep an eye on how your people respond. Are they starting to demonstrate with their expressions and their responses a corresponding emotional state? Read their reactions and adjust your demonstrated emotion accordingly. For more on this topic, visit motivationrules.com and search on emotional overdrive. And when you do, you'll pull up the full article, which has more tips and tools, and you'll also be able to see Phil Davison's video as well, which I know that you'll find worth watching from start to finish. I'm John Ullman. Thanks for watching. Please share this with your friends and colleagues, and come back soon for our next motivation technique.